Good evening and welcome to the Reston Community Center Board meeting, the Board of Governors meeting. I said I was going to talk fast, but I need to be clear. Board of Governors meeting for March 2024. We are now called to order. First order of business is approval of the agenda.
So, second.
It's been
I have one comment on it. Kara is coming next Monday to talk about the survey, and shouldn't that be on the events?
Well, it's not an event, it's a meeting, and that's on the board meeting calendar, so.
Okay. It just,
These are
when I
just
was-
public events
Yeah.
that we list, so you know what the public events calendar is.
Okay, except I look at that list and try to plan when I can go. And if it's not on the list,
Well, put it on your personal calendar,
I've
March
already done
11th
that.
at 6:30.
Okay. So back to, it's been moved and second. All those in favor of approval of the agenda?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next order of business is approval of the February 5th board minutes.
So moved.
second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor? Those opposed? Next order of business is approval of the February 5th board actions.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next order of business is chair's remarks. Yesterday, which was Sunday, well, the music makes me want to move much faster than I can. On Sunday, thanks to Paul, PD, and the center stage, we were privileged to see an interview between V and Molly Smith. Molly Smith was formerly Marina Stage, and I took umbrage to the fact that he gave her credit for creating Arena Stage.
Yeah,
Ralph was there 30 years before she came.
yes.
Okay.
There was an arena stage before Molly.
Yes, it did exist. And it was very interesting to learn of all the work that V has done over the years to improve the lives of women around the world. There was a Q&A after, and I had questions, but refrained from asking them because to me they were all rhetorical. For example, how can you come to a reconciliation or extract an apology when you have people frantically trying to rewrite history? Whence cometh our help when the Supreme Court, and they did a nice thing today, is not capable of giving unbiased decisions? How should we try to change the minds of people who act as if they are in a cult? How do we reach people who have just checked out? I have hope, but with each day, it appears to be deferred. Let the silent men and women find their voices before it's too late.
It's very moving.
I still have hope. And my poem today is, hope is the thing with feathers.
Emily.
You know that one? Emily Dickinson.
And you had your soundtrack filmed it. It was a rhythm to it.
It's amazing. Music is, where is it? Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tune without the words and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm. That they stopped and I stopped. Why? Don't listen to them, Beverly. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chilliest land and on the strangest sea, yet never in extremity it asked a crumb of me.
It's a good plan.
Next order of business is the introduction of visitors. And would be citizen input if they were here. Next order of business is the February 5th long range planning committee meeting. Mr. Bowie?
Yes, we had a long-range planning committee meeting on the 5th of February. There were quite a few things on the agenda, but the most important things were the third quarter transmittal memo for review and approval, going over our financial standing at the time. The other two things that were discussed primarily were the slides to be presented to the February 12th policy joint meeting, where we did the presentation with Karen Fitzgibbon, and we'll follow up on that next week. And then we went into closed session to discuss a personnel matter.
Thank you. The next committee report is from February 12th. And Lisa's not here, but Dick is.
You can see from the minutes, which are very good and quite thorough, that many of the people who joined had ideas which they were willing to voice. And I thought it was great. I thought the meeting went very well. You can read the specific ideas in the minutes, but I wanted to mention a few that I thought were important, and also that all of the groups seemed to mention. One of the themes, I think, that came out of it is that many people who were there wanted some forms of more informal activities at the community center. It seems that they were a little discouraged that almost everything had to be registered in advance, planned in advance, and there were very few drop-in activities. Even the drop-in swimming had to be registered in advance. Talked to Matt about that, and he said, well, there's really no choice.
Well, but they just didn't know. There are drop-in swim sessions
Yeah.
available. They just weren't aware how to access that.
But I think it is reasonable for us, the board and the committee, to kind of think about how our activities, or at least some activities, could be less formal, not requiring advance registration, and how there could be more drop-in classes. One person said, it's a community center. If I just come into the door, there's very little that I can do that I hadn't planned in advance. And several people voiced similar kinds of opinions. Included as ideas, one was probably a good idea, but I doubt if it's feasible, is a cafe. Kind of making the community center into a little Starbucks. Well, that's an idea.
Well, we do actually, just
Well, we have
as a
a
point of
Saturday morning.
information, on Saturday morning, but every weekday morning also, there's coffee service
Yeah.
out of the kitchen here. And there's a lot of people who drop in
Yeah,
from
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So-
I've done that too. But somehow people thought that more of a cafe format would be good. One group mentioned a Pilates group where you could just come in and join. There was a suggestion of a knitting and crochet class. Well, okay, not my thing, but maybe.
I'll teach it, moving along.
One idea that was mentioned that kind of took to my heart was some kind of class or activity of dancing for disabled people. Marion and I try to do as much dancing as we can, but it's not easy. I mean, we really have to be kind of creative, and that might be something to consider. There was also the idea of a DIY, a do-it-yourself construction class. I guess I talked to the person, and he seemed to have an idea that, well, if you have a project and you're not sure how to do something, could there be kind of a class where you can go and get help? Didn't seem to me a very silly idea at all. And
Seems to me that's a service that the DRB should be able to provide consultation
Well,
on
maybe.
construction and applications would be very helpful to
Yeah.
members that are trying to do something.
Sure.
I mean, since they have to go through that office. Anyway,
Yeah.
I think it's.
I just think, I had the impression that this guy was thinking of something more informal. In other words, he's trying to build a bookcase or something.
Actually, the suggestion came from somebody who was really referring to electronics, and because our
Yeah,
shop
yeah.
has a great many, it has both open sessions where people can drop in and pay their fee or swipe their pass if they have a pass and go use the shop. They get advice, it's always monitored, and they can get advice. But this individual was thinking of a similar kind of setup in a new facility. We don't have the space for it in our existing facilities, where a similar kind of infrastructure could be created around electronic devices or, lamps and, little things that break around the house that you could get some kinds of fix-it or use tools, soldering tools, things like that. That's what he was talking about. And then a few other people mentioned things like maker spaces, which
Yeah,
again,
it's a
you have
similar
to have
idea.
a huge new footprint to work that kind of space into, to be able to offer that.
Yeah. Anyway, I think these are all ideas, and I think the board should consider them.
Well, the board is not, didn't we pass those on to the staff?
Well, this was, I think what the brainstorming was set up to help us know what kinds of interests there are if we expand into new facility space and/or have new facility space provided. These are options to look at in terms of new facilities or different facility build-out options.
But we say at the beginning of that meeting that the board is interested in that the board is interested in their suggestions, and that we listen to them seriously. And so, that's not just the staff.
No, but the staff has to figure out the way, whether or not it's possible. We can,
Oh, no,
somebody
I'm not
wanted
saying
a
that we should
waterfall.
design these things.
Somebody
but-
wanted a waterfall.
Yeah.
Remember that?
But, oh yeah, I did not list that. But I don't think it's inappropriate for the board to talk about these kinds of things. Not in terms of the details, but in terms of the concepts. Is this a concept that, we should pass on to the staff and say, hey, see if you can actually make this a reality.
But, well, I was just saying that we do because we're not a hands-on board. We're not
No.
doing it.
No, I'm not suggesting that we do it, I'm just suggesting that we talk about the ideas and say various ideas that we think are worth the staff to pursue.
Sure.
Anyway, that's my suggestion. Maybe it should start with a committee meeting of this public, what's a committee?
Well, there is the follow-up
Public policy.
meeting next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
And truly, I think, there were a group of ideas that were presented that I think are implementable because they evidence a lack of knowledge on the part of
Yeah,
people about what we already provide in terms of drop-in experiences or other kinds of experiences. But then in terms of planning or new program implementation, the staff pays very close attention to this input and then will fold it into the development of offerings as they move forward. And the key thing for this discussion that was held last month was to help UVA figure out how to frame questions that are grounded and based in facility-driven issues. So in that regard, that will be explored at great length
Yeah,
next Monday.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's my report on.
So all of that's in the committee report?
Yeah,
Okay.
well, more or less.
Okay, and to keep all the committee reports, Mr. Bowie, the personnel meeting on February 26th.
Personnel committee met on February 26th. We went into closed session, conducted our business, came back into open session. If you look in your handouts, you have the final position description that will go out in the advertisement for the new director. We put a motion in place that we accept that so that can be moved. So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Any opposed say nay. That motion carries, and that is our personnel committee report.
Do we have a motion to approve?
Well, I move that we approve all the reports listed. Just listed.
Second.
Moved and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Next order of business is the board member input on activities attended since last we met. We will start with Shane.
Awesome. I attended the community relations meeting, as I think everybody here did. And like Lila just said, I think the big takeaway was space. There's a lot of ideas, we don't have the space right now. So we need to continue to think as a board into the future, how we can adapt a new space to meet a lot of those needs. I also found that some people still don't know exactly what RCC is. They confuse us with Reston Association and other groups in Reston. And a lot of it's fitness-based, which I think if we could educate them or guide them towards the park authority, just point the fingers a little bit so they can figure out what to do. But I thought it was a great meeting. It was a really good turnout. Leadership Fairfax did a great job of facilitating it, and it was well attended.
For me, it was the February 12th meeting, and I've already talked about it.
Thank you.
I attended that meeting and the personnel committee for a while. I had to go off to another meeting, so I left halfway through. It was good seeing everybody at the long-range planning and program policy meeting. A lot of good ideas, and thanks for having all the notes all written up, because that's what we can take and start going from. I walked around and listened in on various groups, and so I heard sort of snippets from this group, from that group, and the other group, but having it all together is great, so thank you for that. I also attended Lunasa and heard them calling out to Lila and others, and so but the performance was excellent as always. And also I went to the Leadership Fairfax Awards that were here, and I'm sure if there's something else that's fun.
I went to the same meetings that Paul went to. plus some, but we are about to embark on our search for our new executive director. It's official with the description now. Lila will open that out and send that to HR tomorrow. And I've had extended discussions with Department of Human Resources around timelines and things like that. So the ball will get moving tomorrow. More to come.
Excellent.
I too attended the community meeting and was interested to hear what people had to say. And basketball season is over. We lost the playoffs. However,
Now into theater.
Hope Springs Eternal March Madness is here.
Oh,
Right around the corner.
And also go Seahawks.
Go Seahawks
Seahawks.
on Saturday.
The state
State.
finals Saturday,
VCU.
1 o'clock at VCU. If you want details, let me know.
I was at the community meeting, wasn't quite as mobile as everyone else was.
Yeah. Good.
Had a little
Stuck-
tether.
Stuck where I was.
He was so good.
Yeah, he was.
He's getting used to these meetings. So, I'll bring him next time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that was that, and then I'm looking at these events, in the future, hopefully, the enormous APAC, seems like something we wanna go to, so hopefully we'll get a chance to go to that. I'll share more next time.
I went to the meetings. Kwame Alexander, that, he was amazing, absolutely amazing, and we talked about him last meeting. The Soul to Soul, which was absolutely incredible, because we did the one with the Jewish music and the mountain music, and this was Jewish music with black music.
I went to that one too, I forgot about that.
Yeah, because you're usually my seatmate across
Yeah.
the aisle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was fantastic because they did it in Yiddish as well as English, all of the singers, and the singers were spectacular. That was fantastic. The Leadership Fairfax, and I have gel in my knees, and I can walk a lot of the times without my cane. It's great.
That's good.
That
It
is good
is.
news.
Anything that helps you when you get older to not feel older is great. It's just really interesting, anybody interested in doing that, when they say, we're gonna give you a little prick, you can feel it in, the needle, and then they say, okay, now we have to put in the other one for the gel, and you don't realize it's the size of a straw. And I have a very high pain threshold, so I only got one. Oh God. Next order of business is the executive director's report.
Okay, well, if you turn your tabs, thank you, Ozune, for these spiffy new tabs.
And I love it, the side.
Really, really lovely. So our energy utilization improvement project efforts continue. Evie and Fred are working hand in hand with CMTA. Design Review Board will take a look at those parts of it that will be appearing on our roof, I guess. This month, we continue to work on the space planning effort to redesign administrative and staffing areas to be more efficient and space effective. Lots of equity program content in the past month. You've mentioned some of the performances that occurred, and we also, for those of you who remember the Claudia and Dan Zane's music performance, we took that to the schools as well this past week, so that was something that we did that was well received. We had a fantastic Lunar New Year event here that was extremely well attended. We had about 50 folks here, and it was translated simultaneously throughout the luncheon event into Mandarin. So the folks who were here were a lot of folks from next door who speak Chinese, don't speak English, and they were deeply appreciative of having a translator telling what was going on as it was going on, and not having to rely on, folks at their table or whatever, but built into the program. So that was really, really well done. This new experience that Sherry is worked on Joanne Rose Gallery with a docent who has training in really in neurocognitive disorders and how art can be used as a tool to have social interaction and social experiences. So there have been participants from the 3 residential facilities that are mentioned here, Tall Oaks, Kensington, and Hunters Woods Trails at Trails Edge, who've participated in that, and they really enjoy it. So it's a program we'll keep working on and continue. Every year we host, I always get just profoundly tickled by the bland music competition. It is not bland music, it is James Bland, the composer, who's being honored by that. But we do that in conjunction with the Reston Lions Club, and that involves a lot of teens who really are serious, very serious classical musicians. We're continuing to have dialogue with our friends at the Lake Anne of Reston Condominium Association. We anticipate an end date of March 8th, and so hopefully by the time we're all together again, we'll know what the status of that effort will be. Our new email, you mentioned some of the programs that have occurred in Center Stage and in the facilities, Lake Anne and Hunters Woods. We have tremendous participation despite all of, we did have some weather events in February that were dicey, and but we managed to overcome those. The new electronic newsletter around the center, which put together insights and the 2-week look ahead into one product, has been well received, and we're getting good feedback from that. We celebrated Brian Gannon's 20 years of service to Fairfax County government, almost all of which has been at RCC. We offered the box office manager position to someone who accepted it and then used that offer to obtain a higher salary from their current employer. And so we are moving on. We had really 3 very closely aligned candidates for that position, so we're pretty confident we'll be able to fill it. In the coming months, April and May, if you recall from our January meeting, we'll be bringing forward revisions to the policy and user manual for your review and approval, and also the critical board and staff partner kinds of operating guidance memoranda, the one on strategic planning, the one on capital facilities planning, and the one on pricing, I think, what was on that schedule of the operating guidance memoranda. So look for that coming ahead. And those are, I continue to list the things I go to meetings for as well. I'm really excited about each of the members of the Board of Supervisors are taking a very keen interest in the arts and culture. And so out of the other efforts that I've been involved with as the chair of the County Arts Committee, not every district is like Hunter Mill with a very evolved arts ecosystem to really generate that kind of content delivery. And so Supervisor Palachuk and a new supervisor, Supervisor Jimenez of Mason District, and Supervisor Stork with the revamping and remodeling of original Mount Vernon High School. They're all starting to get really energized around how we can do things that we just totally take for granted in Reston. Things like the murals that we participate in with Dogwood, and now there's one coming for Lake Anne Elementary School. So placemaking using, there's a county murals pilot program now that's starting, and then also creating resident advisory groups to sort of generate ideas for how in existing facilities like NCS community centers or in the Park Authority, the summer concerts, how the communities can be more invested and involved in those kinds of activation experiences. So that's something that I think is very exciting about the future, and something that really that RCC and this community has modeled for decades, and that people are now really excited and energized to get going in other parts of the county. So I'm really kind of tickled about that. That's
Very
it.
good. Your legacy.
Mm-hmm, right.
Next order of business, we thank you for that wonderful report. Is there any continuing business? Any new business?
The only thing I would say is that the Park Authority right now has, we've done a lot of equity work, diversification work in the last year. And so we have got a community-wide equity survey out on our website, and we ask everybody to participate and give us your thoughts on how we can better serve the entire community and parks.
Okay. Anything else?
Just to say it without interrupting Vicky, South Lakes boys basketball in the state finals Saturday, 1 o'clock. You can buy tickets online before you go down. For the state semifinals, all the communication implied that you had to buy it online before you came down, and then that wasn't the case. You could actually buy it there. But so I don't know. The best thing to do is to buy it online before you go down. But if you have questions about where to go, how to get a ticket, just let me know.
Will it be televised or streamed or anything?
So all of the games are televised, are streamed, but you I think have to pay to get the membership. And if you go to the VHSL website, you can sort of get information on that. I know a bunch of people who stream the games all the time. So, but if you're interested in that, let me know and I can track down the information.
Okay, and thank you, Paul. And the reminders at the bottom, in your calendar, and not miss anything. There's the thing I would love to ask the lunacy guys, the things I love, most of the jigs start, because remember Bob left and said you heard one jig, you heard them all. But most of them start the same way, and then they go somewhere else, and it's like, how do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating, because you think, no, that's different, isn't it? They are fascinating, and they're all funny now.
They are.
They're all comedians. Okay, so, don't forget, tomorrow is Super Tuesday for everybody who didn't vote earlier. And there's nothing else. Speak now, forever hold your peace.
The meeting on Monday, the fall meeting here at
6:30.
6:30?
Yep, right here.
Okay. Do we mention that there's food?
There will be food.
There will be food,
So-
you see, so, yes. So is there nothing else? No more words? They've all been used? Okay, the Reston Community Center Board of Governors meeting for March 2024 is now concluded.
Amen.